Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well. So today I am with Hidayat and we are going to talk about one of the most intriguing points in Agile and Scrum, and that is retrospective. So I am going to share a few concerns I have with retrospective as a developer. I've been working with Agile methods for a few years now, but I've always seen the same points occurring each and every time, and even in different companies, different projects. So I tend to think that there is an issue with retrospective. So Hidayat will try to debug some of them. Let's see how it goes. So for me, the first thing though, as a disclaimer, I do think that does have some merits for sure. We cannot just throw the baby out of the bathwater. It does have some merits, but let's start with the first point. This is what I call groupthink. And my opinion of that is, let's say we have a retro and then we have some points. From my perspective, what I've always noticed is that most of the time, everyone would either agree or disagree. So the problem with that is we, in a Scrum team, for example, we have different roles and sometimes we have different perspective. Let's say I'm doing X and the QA is doing Y and the test automation engineer is doing Z. But then there is some issue. For example, the developer is delaying with the work. Let's say I'm a test automation engineer. I'm waiting for him or her to work, to do my work. And the latter takes too much time. And finally, I'm not able to do my time. But is this something that I can mention during the retro? So that will be my first point, Hidayat.
Yes. So just before we go into deep into this concern, which is definitely a true one, um, we need to understand the basic of retrospective, right? When we look at it today's world, we have agile, which is a philosophy, right? And then we have Scrum, Kanban, other methodology that we use. And within that, for example, in Scrum, you have ceremonies. This is where you have retrospective that come in place. Why I had to explain this very quickly is just to understand Agile is a philosophy and it can be implemented any way you want. That's the reality, and it was developed by developers. And let's tackle the first one, which is basically being in a group and being able to share your argument or just to follow everybody. So that's the basic of it. Or when you look at it in a different perspective, I may be feeling shy, I may be feeling, he's a senior, he has experience. I won't say something which is wrong against him. There's different way to approach it. Number one, you can use something what is anonymous retrospective, which is, I'll be honest, I'm totally against that. While someone just posts something anonymously, okay, I have this issue, but it's anonymous. You can't really try to link on it and work on it. So that's number one. Number two, definitely when we have a retrospective, when we run a retrospective, we need to teach people first. What's a retrospective? What's the purpose of retrospective? When we look at it, the key aspect of a retrospective is team collaboration, is to identify challengers. So if we are not able to tell the guys, here it's a feedback. In this session, we are just talking as a team. We are not pinpointing anyone. We are not here to be defensive. We're not here to come and say, this is your problem and not my problem. No, this is our problem and we need to solve it. So the first thing is education, learn and unlearn. Sometimes I say it. So first you learn it, then, okay, now I go to the point. So me as an automation test engineer, developers are taking so much time to deliver something to me for me to proceed. That's a problem for me today. And how can we as a team solve it? Do I need to sit with the developer? Do I expect in between that time to give developer space for 2 days? So it starts with a discussion. So what I tend to see, and that's where we have the real problem, is maturity, right? When someone comes and say, like you just say, you come to the developer, and let's say I'm the developer and you're telling me, hey, you're taking time, that will affect my promotion, that will affect everyone how they will see me. So this is the first thing that we need to kill, and this is the role of the people running this retrospective. It can be anyone, it can be a Scrum Master, it can be a PM, whoever you want to be, it can be a team member. They need to be careful, like, hey guys, we have this problem. We as dev, how do we solve that? So education is number one. Educate your team well, how the retrospective is, how it's being run, what's the purpose. Get to understand first maturity of your team. Let's be honest, we are talking here about Mauritian culture. We do have that tendency. We do have that thing like, okay, one voice against five voice doesn't work. Let's follow, let it flop, let it go. Let's keep this, I would say, frustration inside, and then we get it out. Uh, I would say back doorway, or not in front of the person's face, but let's get it in a other situation, which is against what's happening, because whatever happens within the team should stay within the team. So what happens in Vegas remains in Vegas, right? So it's similar here. What happened in a retrospective remains in a retrospective. And the third part is what we talk, I think, in a pathway in the past, was about how to give feedback. Sometimes, whatever your age, whatever your years of experience, it's not easy to give a feedback. It's not, and a feedback is simply an improvement or an achievement. So it's up to us how to take it. So that would be kind of how I would put it in context. I don't know if that kind of reassure you, but definitely the reality is not that easy. I can say learn, I can say teach, I can say train, build that maturity, but with time it will happen. So it might be first perspective, might be very wrong. Then there is someone who needs to sit with those people, tend to explain, like, sit with the developer, hey, that feedback that you got, don't take it personal, it's an issue, let's work it together. Maybe you need help, maybe there is an issue, it's a new technology for you. You were already working on Java, Spring Boot, and then now the project is on Scala, for example, and you need time to ramp up. Maybe those people don't do that. Let's share that information with them, and then the team, as a team, you grow together. So that would be kind of my main point. Is it clear? Oh,
Yeah, yeah. You know what I wanted to add with it? Sometimes with the retro, we sugarcoat it in a way that, yes, there is the elephant in the room. Everybody is aware of it. But because we want to have a good vibe, we don't want to like make it negative. I'll give you a specific example is there was a key person, let's say a PO or someone like that, who were absent for half of the sprint. And of course, a lot of important decisions were delayed. So everybody knows that this is the elephant in the room. This happened because the PO wasn't here. But nobody is going to say anything about this directly or even indirectly, just to keep the vibe good. And I think that's wrong. But likewise, I can say myself, I don't have the courage. Just go and boss, you are right here. That's why we couldn't deliver. So this is a problem.
that's the reality, what you just said. It's the completely reality in any team. It's not just I work with geographically dispersed team. I've seen it few teams. It's rare. I've got it in two or one of the last team I've worked. They are very direct in their approach, and they tend to give you the direct information. It's just a matter of how you build the team. But coming to your point, sugarcoating, white elephant in the room, this is the complete scenario that you can see in every days, in every kind of project we've been working. But the thing here is, again, when we are sugarcoating, we are not realizing it. So we need to show the consequences, not to you. Like, for example, you realize it and you were not able to you were not able to converse about this situation, but it's not about you, it's about the team. We need to explain to the team. If you don't do it, you don't share it, because the retrospective is based on a sprint, right? So there is something wrong in this sprint. Who would take it? It's the whole team. It's not you, it's not one individual. And that person, I know it would be of a higher authority or a higher title or level, but when we look at it, that person also should have that kind of, I would say, emotional intelligence. Oh, okay, I'm wrong. No one is perfect, and this is something which is very kind of, I think, especially with architect, or I would say people who are with higher kind of experience. Sometimes the small developer, 2 3 years of experience, I'm not saying small in terms of knowledge, but lack of experience, would come forward and say, "Hey, the way you're doing it is too complicated, it can be optimized in a better way." But we are wasting our time. Why are we complicating ourselves when we keep, when the ideology behind coding is keep it simple and stupid? But he won't say it in that meeting. So sometimes retrospective for me is not enough. you know I have something I like to do, is when there is this kind of situation, the white elephant, when you see too much of sugarcoating within your retrospective, I tend to go with one and one. Not 1 hour one and one, like, hey, what do you say, like, for example, factually, or during the retro itself, if I'm running the retro, during the retro, I won't say the PO wasn't here. Definitely it would be kind of putting that person in a very defensive mood. I would come to the team, but we were late on this one. Why were we late? What happened on that? you know be factual with the team, not go with the team, make the team kind of critically think. Don't put it in the team in a way like they come forward and fight with each other. Definitely no. But come forward with fact. Hey, we were late on those 5 user stories. Is there a specific reason why we were late on that? There should be someone that take that kind of running the show. So at the end, coming to point one, point two, there's big impact on the person running the retrospective. It's not just saying what went well, what can be improved. It's also how you have that maturity, leadership in getting to the bottom of it. And something very important, Abdallah, and this is where we have lots of things. There's retrospective as a meeting, right? But there's a pre-retrospective. What's a pre-retrospective? Is before your retrospective, you prepare yourself. You as an individual within the team, you as the person who's going to run that retrospective. You know what were the situation in the sprint. For example, we went live, there was more bug than expected. That's an issue. That's a big issue. But how do we tackle it? It's not the person running it, it's the team that needs to come forward and say, hey guys, that's not possible. Well, the cost of having a bug on live is very high. So the thing here is, how do we get the team for themselves to voice out? And this is the problem you see. It's not nowadays, I think it was there all the time. Is like people don't talk, people don't say, people are afraid. You have everything from point one you've just mentioned that will come up, or will say, hey, we had lots of bug, but the testing team has already tested everything. Yes, you've tested everything, it's not your fault. It might be when we gone live, the environment was different from what we have. But if we don't discuss it, we won't be able to share it. So that's a bit on the sugar coating and the white elephant things, a bit of a general. So the idea here is to have that pre-retrospective with the person and the team in their mind. Hey, I'm going to have a retrospective. These are my 3 key points. Okay, let me discuss it. Okay, these were issues that happened. Me as someone who's going to run that retrospective, I need to make the team say it themselves. Okay, we had that issue. Now, how do we solve it? So that's something we can look into. So
Yes.
I don't know if it's
Yeah.
convincing you more and more, but
Yeah. Yes, that's very good. So another thing that I find to occur every single time and without exception is that there are some recurrent issues that do not seem to be ever completed. They appear in every retro, and you know what's worse? You don't even know who is in charge of this. Sometimes it might be a Scrum Master, a PO, someone else, but at the end, it's not even a surprise. I've seen it before. An item appeared for like an epic 6 months or 7 months, each and every retro. And it was at the end they stopped. Like the team members said, well, yeah, we won't put it anymore because I don't think it's going to be solved. What's your thoughts?
yeah. So I know what you're saying. It's the recurring item. And there's two things here, which is very important. One, such kind of recurring item might not be in like No, not everybody in the team is knowledgeable of it. So let's tackle it a bit different. So number one is when we have a recurring item. So we have an issue now within the retro itself, within the concept of retro is to do something actionable. What are the action of the retro? So for example, we say this is one of our action. There is two steps into that. Step number one is to clearly define the action. So for example, we had like an issue. Okay, this epic is something we need information from the client as an example. Okay, and okay, so there's one step. Step number one is to clearly define what is the action. Step number two is to add something more important to it, which is who should it be assigned to? Like, who is the person responsible to do that? For example, is it the architect? Is it the product owner? Is it the scrum master? Is it the PM? Is it a developer? Is it the QA? So that's step number two. Step number three, a deadline of this action. So you're not going to have it if you put in your mind, okay, guys, by mid of next sprint, we should have a reply on this one. If you don't put a deadline, you won't have anything, right? It's like sometimes I like to take it like you fix a date for your marriage, right? So before that, okay, it's fine, it's good, it's going to happen, or things like that. Then something crop up, have a date, have a fix. Okay, it's the right one. So you know the focus is there. Similarly, the same deadline is here. So you have a deadline, get that done, and there's a person responsible for that, and that person, once they get an information, should send an email, should communicate to the team, be it on a team chat, be it on an email, be it on a meeting. You can set up a meeting. Okay, we need to have a meeting in this sprint, we are going to discuss about this. So that's the action. So that's how we kind of avoid having that kind of recurrent item to do it.
Yes, very good. Yeah, I think it's good. But let's see this in practice. It sounds so sweet in theory.
The thing that's why I started with this terminology, like agile is a philosophy, scrum is a methodology. You know, the difference between a philosophy and a methodology is very simple. Philosophy is easy to adapt. Okay, it's a sense of understanding. Okay, this is how I want to do it, right? Methodology is I have step by step what needs to happen to do something. That's the difference. But the things which I see in today's world, when we call retrospective, we talk about Scrum, we talk about anything around the ceremonies, right? We have that tendency of going away from the real philosophy to start to be methodology. Like, okay, I'm going to a retrospective because why I need to go there, I don't know. What does a retrospective mean for me? I don't understand. I'm just doing it because we say we are working in Scrum. We sold it to the client as Agile. The thing which I see more and more with people is one, they don't, if you don't make them understand the importance, you would have all your free points coming up every time. Secondly, if you don't tell the people, you don't teach them the how it's going to work, what are the what I call to be the RACI, what's the role, accountability, who is supposed to do which and what within that, they it will come up again. And thirdly, the most important is follow up. Once you've done a retrospective, what I kind of see in past team I've worked, not now, but past team I've worked, is they do a retrospective. It's very beautiful. It's on kind of, using those kind of fancy online tool, and it stays there, right? There's nothing happening for the if you go and one of the things I've seen, and this was kind of someone trying to be very agile and put that forward, like, okay, we need to do sprint. Yes, we do sprint. We need to do retrospective. It's very important. And one day I sit with that person, and that person was a scrum master. I told him, but what you're saying came up in five retrospective. No action was done. And I started to question, and that person take it very defensively and say, like, yes, PM shouldn't be in Agile. PM doesn't exist in Scrum. Yes, I agree with you. But Scrum Master exists, the role exists, but are you doing your role? Sometimes you need someone to question. So these things happen. And the most important thing is to embrace a philosophy. And this is what I tend to do with the team. When we say we are working agile, is not to stick ourselves with ceremonies and methodologies, is to accommodate it. Okay, we need to do a delivery. We are working in a sprint, but we need to get to the bottom of it. We have issues, we need to get to the bottom of it. And like you mentioned it earlier, I'm not someone who's very happy about what happened around retrospective on a personal basis, but I tend to get to the team. Do you want to do the retrospective? I had team in the past that don't do retrospective per sprint. They would prefer to have it each free sprint, because in the first sprint nothing happened. Why should I spend 1 hour to discuss on nothing happened? So you get to get that. But I had team that are very recurrent within the same team. Part of it want to do retrospective, especially dev would say to me, no, I am not interested. That's the things that happen very often. But slowly I kind of embed them like, hey guys, if you feel it's not beneficial, this meeting, and you've said everything you want, you can move out. You don't need to stay 1 hour in a meeting. And this, I think, might be one of your points. Spending 1 hour in a meeting sometimes kills that creativity, that focus time, be it a developer, be it a QA, be it a BA that needs behind the scene to get things delivered. Sometimes maybe we need to shorten our retrospective or have, like I said to you, pre-retrospective. What I think my strategy, that's my idea, there is no framework or things like that, is pre-retrospective, retrospective of 15 to 20 or even 30-minute max. I'm not agreeable on 1 hour. And then post-retrospective, which is follow-up. What have happened? And in that follow-up, I'm clear with my team. I'm not going to go through that 100 list you're giving to me. Give me your top 3. I'm realistic. If, for example, action items, or especially on my side, when you're in a leadership position, you tend to have everything, every problem. Okay, this is my problem. This is my problem. Like 100 will come to you, but you can't solve everybody's worth. Like one guy said once, if you want to be a leader, uh, if you want to have it, if you're not within that state of a leadership, go and serve ice cream. You will make everybody happy, and that's not going to happen. You can't make 100 people happy, but you can tend to put 100 people vision towards a happiness mode. So if you can target top 3 or top 5 item, and it should be actionable before the next retro, be taking your time and everything into consideration, then you take that responsibility. Okay, 3 item, what you said to me, we have it. So the framework for me is very simple today, is to have pre-retrospective. Each one does it themselves. They don't need to have a meeting for that or things like that. No, you have 5 minutes, think of what you're going to say, have it open, have it polite, have it respectfully being said to someone. Then you go in your retrospective, you note everything, we can discuss about it. Take your top 3 you want to talk about it. Your time is money, right? Everybody knows that time is money. 30 minutes, time bound. This is my 3 item we need to take. Let's have a vote. Everybody vote, and you would see like, okay, these are the 3 items we need to take. From there on, you have a post retrospective whereby all follow-up are being done, and a mail or a communication is sent to the team. Okay, these are the top 3 we are taking. So this is assigned to these people. We are following up on that, and this is going to happen. So that's kind of put a summary up to what our discussion is so far. I'm pretty
Nice.
sure.
Yeah, it's very good. Okay, that was a very stimulating conversation regarding one of the most controversial topic in Agile and Scrum, especially as a developer's perspective. So thank you, Hidayat, for your time. Really appreciate, and see you very soon for another episode. Okay, bye
Thanks.
bye.
Thanks. Take care.